My girlfriend got intimate with her best friend during our break, so I decided to take ultimate revenge. Hey Reddit. I always believed that if a relationship ended, it was best to move on with dignity. But when I found out what my girlfriend did while we were on a so-called break, something inside me snapped. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was who she did it with, how she justified it, and the way she expected me to just accept it like it was no big deal. But to understand how I got my ultimate revenge, I have to start from the beginning. My girlfriend, Emma, and I had been together for 3 years. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but I thought we had something real. We had fights like any couple, but we always found a way to make up. Or at least, I thought we did. A few months ago, we started arguing more than usual. Emma felt like I wasn't giving her enough attention, and I felt like she was being unreasonable. It was little things. She'd get upset if I didn't text her back within 10 minutes, or if I wanted to spend a night with my friends instead of her. It felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. One night, after another heated argument, she dropped the bomb. Maybe we should take a break. The words hit me like a truck. A break? That wasn't something people just suggested unless they were already halfway out the door. I asked her if she wanted to break up, but she insisted it wasn't that. She just needed space to figure things out. I didn't want to lose her, so I reluctantly agreed, thinking maybe some time apart would help. I spent those weeks miserable. I missed her like crazy, but I respected her space. I didn't go out and party. I didn't even think about being with anyone else. I just waited, hoping that when she was ready, we'd come back stronger. Then one day, out of nowhere, she texted me saying she missed me and wanted to talk. My heart practically leapt out of my chest. I thought this was it, we were going to get back together, and things would be better. We met at our favorite coffee shop, and she had this guilty look on her face. My stomach sank. Before I could even ask what was wrong, she blurted it out. While we were on our break, she had gotten intimate with someone. But not just anyone. Her best friend, Sarah. I just sat there, staring at her, trying to process what she had just said. I knew Sarah. She had been in Emma's life for years, always hanging around, always texting her at weird hours. I had never suspected anything, because Sarah was in a long-term relationship herself. But apparently, that didn't matter. Emma tried to explain that it just happened, that they were hanging out, drinking, and one thing led to another. She swore it didn't mean anything, that it was just a mistake. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She looked at me like she expected me to just nod and accept it. Like it wasn't a big deal. I asked her why she was even telling me, and she said she wanted to be honest, that she wanted us to have a fresh start. She even had the nerve to say, since it was with a girl, it's not really the same, right? I felt sick. The worst part was that she was acting like she was doing me a favor by telling me. Like I should appreciate her honesty and just move on. But I couldn't. Something inside me broke in that moment. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I just told her I needed time to think. She nodded, probably thinking I'd get over it and come running back like I always did. But this time was different. I didn't just want to move on. I wanted her to feel what I felt. I wanted her to understand the kind of betrayal that made your stomach turn and your heart feel like it was being ripped out of your chest. And I knew exactly how to do it. I reached out to Sarah's boyfriend, Mark. We weren't close, but we had met at a few gatherings. I told him we needed to talk, and when we met up, I laid everything out for him. At first, he didn't believe me, but when I showed him the messages Emma had sent me confessing everything, his face went pale. He thanked me for telling him and said he needed to process everything. A few days later, I got a text from Emma. She said she wanted to meet again and talk about where we stood. I agreed, but I had other plans. I told her to come over to my place that night. When she arrived, she was all smiles, like she genuinely thought we could just go back to how things were. But her smile vanished the moment she stepped inside. There, sitting on my couch, was Mark. Emma's face turned ghost white. She looked between us, realization dawning in her eyes. I could see the panic set in as she stammered, "What is he doing here?" I leaned back and said, "Oh, I just thought he should know what happened too. Since we're all about honesty now." Mark didn't say a word. He just looked at Emma with disappointment written all over his face. I could tell he had already made his decision. He stood up, told Emma she was pathetic, and walked out without looking back. The moment the door closed behind him, Emma turned to me, eyes wide with shock. "Why would you do that?" she hissed. I stood up, towering over her. "Why wouldn't I? You expected me to just take it? To accept it like it was nothing? You didn't even care how it would make me feel. Well, now you know what it's like to have your relationship destroyed by someone you trusted." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't feel sorry for her. She opened her mouth to say something, but I cut her off. "We're done, Emma. For good. Go be with Sarah, or don't. I don't care. But don't ever contact me again." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. And just like that, she was out of my life. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could finally breathe. I didn't feel broken anymore. I didn't feel weak. I felt free. And that was the best revenge of all.